PlayStation 1, defining a generation, 1994 to 2000. When the Sony PlayStation launched in late 1994, few could have predicted the magnitude of its impact on gaming history. What began as a collaboration between Sony and Nintendo, which famously collapsed during the SNES-CD negotiations, turned into one of the most influential hardware debuts of all time. With the PlayStation 1, commonly abbreviated as PS1 or PSX, the medium shifted dramatically toward 3D game design, cinematic storytelling, and mainstream cultural acceptance. The PS1 outsold every console of its era, closing out the 1990s with more than 100 million units sold, a record until later surpassed by Sony's own PlayStation 2. But its success wasn't merely due to hardware. It was the software library that became the system's heartbeat. Over 2,400 games were released worldwide, representing everything from groundbreaking RPGs to experimental indie-like titles. Below are the best-rated, most culturally significant PS1 games that shaped not only the console but the entire history of video games. Final Fantasy VII, 1997. Often considered the poster child of the 32-bit era, Final Fantasy VII brought cinematic storytelling to consoles with an emotional narrative, unforgettable characters, and revolutionary CGI cutscenes for its time. Critics praised its depth, soundtrack, and world building, and fans continue to consider it the title that made RPGs mainstream outside Japan. Metal Gear Solid, 1998. Hideo Kojima's landmark stealth action game set new standards for narrative complexity and voice acting. Players weren't accustomed to video game villains discussing philosophy, politics, and genetic ethics. Yet Metal Gear Solid delivered all of this alongside innovative gameplay design. Gran Turismo, 1997. The real driving simulator introduced an unprecedented level of authenticity to console racing, boasting over 140 meticulously modeled cars for its era. Its simulation approach influenced nearly every racing game that came after. Castlevania: Symphony of the Night, 1997. A commercial underperformer but critical darling, this title redefined 2D action games. Its exploration-focused design gave rise to the Metroidvania genre and remains a masterpiece of timeless gameplay. Tekken 3, 1998. Among the most celebrated fighting games in history, Tekken 3 refined its mechanics, expanded available movesets, introduced key characters like Jin Kazama, and featured smooth 60 frames per second animation rarely seen in fighters of the time. The PS1 was home to countless other highly rated titles: Resident Evil 2, Crash Bandicoot, Warped, Suikoden 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, Silent Hill, and more. Its influence spread across other systems as well, setting the tone for competitors to adapt and innovate. Nintendo 64, a rival in the third dimension. While the PS1 dominated the market, the Nintendo 64 N64 produced some of the highest-rated games ever created. Though its library was smaller, it aimed for quality over quantity. Cartridges limited developer freedom compared to CDs, but Nintendo countered this limitation with technical marvels and pioneering gameplay concepts. The relationship between PS1 and N64 shaped an era. One console pushed cinematic storytelling and expansive libraries, while the other drove innovation in 3D mechanics and multiplayer couch gaming. Super Mario 64, 1996. Often considered the greatest launch title in gaming history, Super Mario 64 didn't just transition Mario into 3D, it rewrote the rulebook for how 3D movement, camera control, and level design function. Its influence touches virtually every 3D platformer since. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, 1998. Still widely regarded as one of the best games ever created. With its Z-targeting combat, epic storytelling, time travel mechanic, and orchestrated feeling score, Ocarina of Time became the benchmark for adventure games. GoldenEye 007, 1997. Before Halo, before Call of Duty, there was GoldenEye. This game transformed the FPS genre on consoles and ignited the era of local multiplayer shooters. N64 didn't have the volume of PS1's library, but In terms of top-tier design, it delivered icons that shaped the industry as strongly as their PlayStation counterparts. Sega Saturn, a challenger lost in transition. The Sega Saturn occupied an awkward space in the mid-90s battle. Designed originally as a 2D powerhouse, Sega scrambled late to retrofit 3D capabilities after Sony revealed its PlayStation ambitions. This made Saturn notoriously complex for developers, but those who mastered the hardware created some of the most beloved cult classics of the era. Panzer Dragoon Saga, 1998. A rare and remarkable RPG blending on-rails shooting with deep narrative. Its limited print run makes it one of gaming's most sought-after collector's items. Nights into Dreams, 1996. Yuji Naka's dream-themed masterpiece showcased the Saturn at its finest, offering fluid flight controls and surreal level design. Virtua Fighter 2, 1995. One of the system's highest-rated titles, pushing near-flawless 60 frames per second animation, unheard of in a 3D fighter at the time. Saturn's version was considered arcade perfect, something the PS1 couldn't match. Though the Saturn lost the overall commercial battle to PlayStation, its best-rated games remain revered as examples of experimental, visionary game design. PC, MS-DOS, Windows 95/98. The Parallel Giant. While consoles fought for the living room, the PC platform thrived in its own ecosystem. The PS1 era overlapped with a golden age of PC innovation, yet the influences moved both ways. Certain PC titles inspired console design philosophies. In turn, console successes pushed PC developers toward more narrative-driven experiences. Half-Life, 1998. Valve's revolutionary FPS isn't just one of the highest-rated PC games. It changed storytelling in video games forever. Seamless sequences, scripted events, and environmental narrative became the new standard. Baldur's Gate, 1998. The RPG renaissance on PC ran parallel to the PS1's own. Baldur's Gate's real-time with pause combat and deep writing laid the foundation for Western RPGs. StarCraft, 1998. Blizzard delivered the crown jewel of real-time strategy, achieving international acclaim and enormous competitive popularity. Diablo, 1996. This dungeon crawler influenced countless action RPGs, including many that later appeared on PS2 and beyond. While PS1 brought cinematic polish, PC brought complexity, modding, and online multiplayer revolution, each platform strengthening the other. Neo Geo CD, the arcade at home. Though far from mainstream, the Neo Geo CD produced some of the highest quality 2D games of the PS1 era. SNK's focus on fighting games set it apart from Sony's sprawling library. The King of Fighters 98, 1998. Widely considered the pinnacle of the KOF series, featuring an enormous roster and finely tuned gameplay. Metal Slug 2, 1998. A cult favorite run-and-gun shooter with distinct hand-drawn animations and relentless action. Samurai Showdown 3 and 4. These titles showcased SNK's mastery of 2D combat, appealing to hardcore arcade enthusiasts. Though the PS1 pushed toward 3D, the Neo Geo CD proved that 2D artistry remained timeless. Sega Dreamcast, The Last Stand Before. PlayStation 2. Launched near the end of the PS1's life, the Dreamcast was Sega's final attempt to reclaim its former glory. Though short-lived, it delivered some of the most critically acclaimed games of all time. Soul Calibur, 1998/1999, a launch title that shocked the world by surpassing its arcade version visually. It quickly became the highest-rated fighting game ever made. Shenmue, 1999, often described as the blueprint for modern open-world games. Shenmue combined day-night cycles, NPC routines, weather systems, and cinematic realism unprecedented for its time. Game Boy Color, Altes Hauptreich in die Car, portable powerhouse of the era. While home consoles fought visually, the handheld market flourished through Nintendo's Game Boy Color, GBC. Despite being less powerful than the PS1, it hosted some of the most beloved games of the late 90s. Remarkably, several of its top-rated titles were linked to franchises that were also thriving on the PS1. Pokémon Gold and Silver, 1999/2000. Among the highest-rated handheld games ever, These titles expanded the Pokémon universe dramatically with 100 new creatures, a real-time day-night system, and the entire Kanto region. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX 1998, a color-enhanced re-release of one of Zelda's most beloved 2D adventures.